All right, welcome to this lesson. And in this lesson, we will be creating our database schema and our tables to use for our application. So after you get your MySQL server installed, we have to run a few commands to get our server up and running. So to start your MySQL instance, you have to run a command. So the command will be our sudo service MySQL start. So you do this, and once the terminal returns, then you know that the system has started. Now, if for some reason your MySQL instance doesn't start from using this command here, there is another command that you can use, because if it says something about service MySQL not installed, then you can run this command here and it will start up your service just the same. So you can use sudo systemctl start MySQL, and it will start up your MySQL instance just the same. Now, if you want MySQL to start up every time that you reboot, you just want it to automatically start on reboot, then you can run this command here, sudo systemctl enable MySQL. And as this runs, it will set up everything for your MySQL instance to start every time you reboot. So now, with that being done, we can log into our MySQL instance. So in order to do this, you type in MySQL -u. This is for the user. We're going to log in as root, and then you give the -p, and this is to let them know you want to use a password. So this password is the password you use when you set up your MySQL instance. So that password that you set up there, where we selected low, medium, or hard difficulty, this is that password. So punch that in. All right, once you do that, you will be inside your MySQL instance. So once we're in here, we need to create a database schema where we can hold our tables. So we do this by using the create database, and then you put the name of the database. We will use atwairlines as our database. Do not forget your semicolon. All right. Now that that's there, we have a database. You can use the show databases command with the colon with the semicolon, and it will pull it up, and there is our newly created database schema, atwairline. So now from here, we can use our database so we can create our tables. We use the use command, and then we type in our database name. So we type in atwairlines. Now we change databases. So now, while we're inside of here, inside of our database, we can create our tables. So we will be using these commands here to create our tables. We'll be creating a ticket table, a trip table, a customer table, an authority table, and a user table. These last two tables are used for Spring security. So when we set up our basic authentication, these are the two tables that will store that information. These three here, customer, trip, and ticket, will be used by us in our application to store our tickets and trips and the customer information. So as far as the tickets go, we have an ID for the identifier. We have a trip ID, which links this ticket to this trip. Then we have a destination from, a destination to, a date for the date of the trip, a flag whether it's canceled or not, and we also have a timestamp for the date that it was created. So now down to the trip, we have an ID. This ID is the same as this trip ID here. So ID. This trip ID is a foreign key. We have a first name for our actually, I think I want to switch this up. We need to actually have a link to the customer ID, not the first name and the last name. So really here we would want customer ID. So this is the link to this customer here. So we will link this trip table to the customer. And then we have the create date. This is a timestamp of the date that the trip was created on. So next up is the customer. We will have an ID for this customer, for each customer. We have a username, first name, last name, and a date of birth. All right, and I will go over these later once we get to the security part of the course. As of right now, this is very easy to do, to create these tables. I will provide these commands in the description, so you just look there and you guys will be able to just copy and paste these. This is why I told you did not need to know my any type of SQL, because I have pre-written the commands. You just copy, paste, and hit enter. All right, so once you do that, we have created our ticket table. We can use the show tables command, and we see now that there is a ticket table there. All right, so now let's do the same. I'm just copying the trip table, and we will paste it in over here. All right, so now let's do show tables once again, just to show you that that table is now added. So now we'll copy, I'm going to just copy all three of these other tables at once and just paste them in here. And there we go. So now let's clear that. You can clear the screen by using Control L. That will clear your screen. So now we can do show tables, and now we have all our tables here. We have our ticket, our trip, the customer, authority, and the user table. So this is how you set up the database schemas, and that is all for this lesson. In the next lesson, we will actually begin our Java code. See you in that lesson.